This is a story about a guy who was sent to prison for a terrible crime he didn't commit. A woman who was on the jury who helped send him away for life. And how the same woman, 27 years later, made a decision to undo the damage she had done. My name is Michael Hall. I'm a staff writer at Texas Monthly, and I wrote a story called The Juror Who Found Herself Guilty. Back in 1990, a man named Carlos Jaile was convicted of sexual assault of a little girl in El Paso. He was convicted even though there was no physical evidence against him, and he had 3 alibi witnesses, and he was sent away for life. One of the jurors, her name was Estella Ybarra, never felt right about the verdict. She had always thought that the evidence wasn't enough. She had voted for his guilt because she had been pressured into it by other members in the jury room. So Carlos was sent away to the Clements unit in Amarillo, and that's where he spent his life. And all during this time, Estella couldn't get him out of her mind. Carlos lost everything once he was arrested. Estella Ybarra would wonder about Carlos, sitting there in his lonely prison cell. Did he have kids? What about his parents? What was he doing for Christmas? For 27 years, Estella had to deal with this, and it haunted her. And so finally, in 2017, she decided to do something about it. That started the ball rolling for Carlos to be freed. And that's what this story is about. These two people who were so haunted by this thing that happened back in 1990 and how they've dealt with it ever since. I've done a lot of stories on exonerated people over the years. This story was completely different from all of those. Because it wasn't just the story of one person, it was the story of 2 people. The real story here wasn't just Carlos. It was the juror who had freed Carlos. I knew I had to find her. Her name hadn't been mentioned in any of the court documents. She hadn't been mentioned at the hearing. Nobody talked about her at all. I sent out letters to all the female jurors because I knew it was a woman. Sent out 9 letters. 2 days later, my phone rang, and it was a 915 area code. And I answered, and it was this woman with a heavily Mexican accent. She said Ybarra, and she said jury, and she said Carlos. And I was like, oh my God, this is the juror. She had no idea that he had been freed. She had no idea that what she had done had freed him. Nobody had told her. When I had interviewed Carlos, one of the things he'd said is, I'd really like to meet her and thank her. They had been in the same room 33 years before at the courthouse downtown, and now here they were again.
I feel bad because I didn't do it sooner. But, yeah.
If you didn't do it, I would still be there. And I am so grateful for everything you've done.
That's good.
Thank you so much. You're a wonderful person.
But I didn't forget you.
Thank you.
Never.
You can read this story in the February 2024 issue of Texas Monthly, or you can go online to texasmonthly.com.